Hello everyone and welcome to the 8th episode of Learning Java. Today we'll be learning about the for loop. So what is a loop? A loop is something which repeats a particular set of statements a particular number of times. So let's say we have a loop, a forever running loop, which executes the statement hi. So it will print hi forever. So if we execute a particular loop that prints the word hi is going to be printed until the loop is stopped. So it's going to print hi, hi, hi. So it will keep printing until the loop is stopped. So how do we implement this in Java? In Java, we can have a loop in the form of a for loop. There are also various other loops like while loop, do while loop, which I'll be covering in a later session. For now, I'll be doing for loops. For loops is the most common and efficient loop, which can be used to check complex statements. So the algorithm for a for loop goes like this. You write for, bracket open, then over here in this space, you can declare a variable, as many number of variables as you want, semicolon. This is for the Boolean expression, which will check if the condition is true or not. Another semicolon, and this is for the increment decrement value or to perform a specific operation. This is what a for loop in Java looks like, and all the statements that are within these curly brackets will be executed for a set amount of time. So this full thing is basically how a for loop algorithm looks like. So now let's see how this works in BlueJ. So let's say I want to write a code to print hi 5 times. So first I'll start my for loop. So for and then an open bracket. Now I need to print the word hi for 5 times. So first I'll declare a variable I. So int I is equal to 0. So the first blank which I even made in the PPT is the place where you can declare variables. So for now we only need one variable, so we declare int I is equal to 1. Now we need to print it 5 times. So I should be less than equal to 5. This will make sense after we do the entire code, and I is equal to I plus 1. This will be the standard algorithm to execute a set number of statements 5 times. In this case, since we have to print the word hi 5 times, this will be the set for loop. And whatever we want to execute should come in these curly brackets. So since we need to print hi, we put this. Now I'll show you the output, then I'll do the try run. So void main, and you can see hi is printed 5 times. So how is this program working? When first of all the code starts from the first line, this package is declared class for loop, and we come into the main. Now starts the for loop. As soon as the code goes to the for loop, it'll go step by step. So first it'll see this, which is that int I is equal to 1. This int I is equal to 1 can also be declared over here. It really doesn't matter. But since the for loop provides us a blank to declare variables, so it's ideally better to declare all the variables which you're using in the for loop in this specified area. So first, this variable is declared. So it goes from left to right. Then it's going to check if I is less than equal to 5. So in this case, I is 1 and 1 is less than equal to 5. So the loop will execute as long as this Boolean expression is true. So this case 1 is less than equal to 5. So that statement is correct. So it's going to go in the for loop. It will not go to this as of now. So first this step, then this Boolean expression thing, and then it's going to go directly to the everything inside the curly brackets. It will ignore this for now. So it's going to go in these curly brackets and see this the system.out.println hi. It's going to print hi, bracket close. It's going to go again to the for loop. Then this I is equal to 1 is going to be ignored because you can't declare a variable more than once. So this int I is equal to 1 is only for the first step. So the Java compiler comes to this statement only the first time. So after this is printed, the control will again go to the for loop. It will directly go to this Boolean expression. sorry, my bad, it will directly go to this expression which was left the previous time. So I equals I plus 1. So the value of I will be incremented. So I will become 2. Then after going to I is equal to I plus 1, the code will go to the Boolean expression. So 2 is less than equal to 5, which is true, and then it will print high again. Then again, it will go to this I is equal to I plus 1. So in this case, I is 2. So I will become 3. I is equal to 2 plus 1, which will be 3. So 3 is less than equal to 5. So bam, this will go here and this will be printed. Again, I is equal to I plus 1. It will become 4. I is less than equal to 5. Print high. Then again, this will go 5. I becomes 5. 5 is less than equal to 5. It's going to print. Now it's going to go to 6. 6 is less than equal to 5. This statement's false. So this all won't be executed and the control is going to be transferred to the line which is outside of these brackets. So this is where the control is going to be transferred. So this is how the code basically works. Now let's do a bit more complex type of code. So in this code, we'll accept a value from the user. So a numerical value from the user, an integer value, and then we'll print all the numbers from 0 to that particular number. So this is what our code is going to be. For example, if the user enters the number 10, we'll print all the numbers from 0 to 10. So it'll be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So how do we write the code for that? First, we need to accept the value from the user till where we are going to print. So system.out.println enter number. So the user is going to see enter number and then he's going to enter the number, and the number which the user enters, we're going to store it in the variable x. So int x is equal to sc dot next int. So the number which the user enters is going to be stored in the variable x, and I forgot to declare the scanner class. So scanner sc is equal to new scanner system.in. Yeah. So now we can start with the for loop. Just a second, there's a typo. Yeah. So now we can start with the for loop. We need to print all the numbers from 0 to the particular number, which is x, which the user enters. So we'll start with the for loop. So since we need to print from 0, we'll make our starting variable 0. So int I is equal to 0. You can use any variable. It can be a, b, c, d, doesn't matter. Then we need to print the value. We need the loop to execute x times. So till I becomes x. So I should be less than equal to x. And we want the value of I to increment by 1. So I plus plus. Or you can even write I is equal to I plus 1. Really, it doesn't matter. So now we need to print all the numbers from 0 to x. So we can easily write this code by just doing system.out.println I. Now let's see what's happening in this code. First, I'll show you the output. So void main, and you can see, let's say we enter the number 10. So it's going to print 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Good. So now I'll give you a quick dry run. So scanner sc gets declared, we print this, and the value gets accepted from the user in the variable x. Now the for loop. So int I is equal to 0. So the variable I is declared. Then it's going to check if I is less than equal to x. So let's say x is 10 over here and I is 0. So 0 is less than equal to 10. This condition is true. So it will go directly to here. It will ignore this in the first iteration and it'll go directly here, and it's going to print 0. So 0 is printed. Now it will again go to this main statement. It will ignore this and it'll directly go to this. So sorry, it will directly go to this. So 0, which is I, is equal to 0 plus 1. So I will now be equal to 1, and now it will go to this. So 1 is less than equal to 10, which is true. So it's going to print this again. So like this, it's going to go again and again in the loop until I becomes 11, and 11 is less than equal to 10, which is false. And then the loop is going to be terminated. So here I'll show you the dry run of the code which I just wrote. So let's say the user enters the value of x as 5. So I we declared as 0. So first is going to go to 0. It's going to check if 0 is less than equal to x, which is 5. So this condition is true. And now it's going to print I. So the SOP will be I. So it's going to print 0. Now it will go to this condition. So I equals 0 plus 1. So I becomes 1. 1 is less than equal to 5. This is true. And now it's going to print I. So I is equal to I plus 1. This column is what's going to be the output. So this becomes 2. 2 is less than equal to 5. Tick. Then it's going to print 2. I is equal to 2 plus 1. So this is how the basic this is going to continue till I becomes 6, and at the end it's going to be I is less than equal to 6 5. This will be wrong, and then all this won't happen and just going to come out of the loop. So there'll be like 3 4 5, there'll be 3 steps over here more. So that's how a dry run will look like. So you can practice this yourself when you're trying to figure out how for loops works. You can experiment with them, try different values and see how they work, and you can use this dry run method to see where you're going wrong. Another thing to note here is that I mentioned that you need not declare the variable I over here. So let's say you don't want to declare the variable I over here and you want to declare it over here. Fine, it's your wish. But do you still need to put the semicolon here? Yes, you have to. So it's optional in the for loop to have all these three. So this declare, Boolean expression, and operation. So all these three are optional in a for loop. So let's say you want none of these. Let's say you don't want this also, you don't want this also. But you'll still need to put both the semicolons. So that's an important point to know. Let's say you don't want this increment value, you want to increment it over here. Let's say I is equal to I plus 1. This is also fine, but just remember that you need to put both the semicolons over here. So that's another thing to note. And all these three are optional. So now I have another code for you. Look at this code. Int I is equal to 0. And for, we have no thing over here, no declare. So we just put a semicolon. I should be greater than is equal to 1. And I plus plus, or I is equal to I plus 1 is the same thing. And system.out.println I. What do you think is going to be the output? How many times is this loop going to be executed? So I'll tell you. So int I is equal to 1 and I is equal to 0, and I should be greater than is equal to 0, which basically means that the loop will keep executing as long as I is greater than equal to 0. And the loop will stop executing, which means that it will terminate when I is less than 0. But that will never happen because the value of I is increasing and the initial value of I is 0. So what is going to happen? Let's see. So this loop will never end because the condition is always true for what we have written. So technically it's an infinite loop. So let's see what happens. As soon as we click on void main, you can see these numbers are coming constantly rapidly, and this loop is never going to end. It's going to go on unlimited number of times. And to stop this, just press this U-turn arrow over here. So let's say you're writing some code and by mistake you make some infinite loop. You can press this arrow over here. It's going to stop. Just put Control K. And for all those of you who are wondering where the previous values went, since Java executed the program so fast, all the previous values got deleted because it can't store all the values because not that much space is allocated. So this is basically an infinite loop. They don't have any use, but you can just play around with them. So now I have written another code for long I is equal to 1 L. So the reason I'm using long is because I'm using a pretty big number, so that won't fit an integer. And the reason I put an L is because you need a suffix to specify Java that it is a long. And long I specified system.out.println please wait. And this for loop, which I should be less than equals to 99999, which is a very big number. And I specified L over here also. And this has no statements in the loop, and at the end it's just printing thank you. So what's the point of this loop? This is called a empty loop or a timer loop, and the point of this loop is just to create delay in the program or to make the program more compact. So let's see what the output is going to be like. Let's click on void main and please wait and then thank you. So it won't be that clear over here, But just to explain, once you print system.out.println, please wait. Java is going to take a while to execute, calculate I plus so many times. So it's going to take a while. So there's going to be a bit of delay in the program. And then it's going to print thank you. So just to create delay in the program, let's say like please wait, like in this case, in like hotels and all or some websites, you can click to please wait. So to make the user wait for a while, you can have these empty loops. You couldn't see the delay over here because Java is actually very quick. So you'll need to put a much larger number as to what I have put. So if you add a couple more nines, then there should be some delay. No, there's still no delay. So you'll have a pretty big number, but this is what an empty loop is. Another thing to note here is that we can have switch statements, switch case statements, if constructs, and for loops inside a for loop. So if you have if, for, these are you inside for loops, these are used for more complex programs. And if you have a for loop inside a for loop, it's called a nested for loop, which I'll be covering in later sessions because those require a bit more bigger of a dry run and they're a bit complex to understand and they're used to make a bit more complex programs. So I'll be covering that in a later session. So that's it for today, everyone. Thanks for watching. And if you have any queries, doubts, or suggestions, you can mail me. My email will be in the description down below. And thanks again for watching.